Here now with analysis, Fox News contributor and former House Speaker Newt Gingrich. Speaker, thank you so much for joining us. A lot to get to. I mean, what the president has accomplished in 100 days is, I mean, it's remarkable, his energy. We talk about that a lot, but it can't be stated enough. But overseas, Iran is a major threat to world safety and security. Yet the price of oil is coming down. The president's taking on the Houthis. With Israel, they've been taking out the other threats, the other proxies in the Middle East. Where do you think this is going? Because Donald Trump has saved the world, quite frankly, by doing more in the Middle East over the last 100 days than we've done in a long time.
Well, look, I think it's been kind of amazing. If you take the whole 100 days, remember, just before he became president again, we had people pouring over the southern border. Within 10 days, that entire thing had basically been stopped in its tracks. In fact, it's such a great success, it's now not a front page story because people have said, okay, check that one off. He is methodically replacing the criminals, as you point out, and getting them out of the country. He gave Israel the go-ahead to finish the job against Hamas, something which Biden had consistently denied them the ability to do. He has really taken a much more aggressive act against the Houthis. And part of that, I think, is to send a signal to Iran that we have not moved our heavy bombers into the Indian Ocean just for standing by. And I think the president, although he says it very softly, he's trying to make very clear, either the Iranians are going to give up their nuclear program or we are going to destroy their nuclear program. Obviously, the president very much prefers not to have to use force. He's trying to explain it directly. In the case of Ukraine, I think what's fascinating is, this is just my view, but I believe that Putin has totally misunderstood Donald Trump being patient. And I thought today, when Trump snapped at Putin for having bombed Kiev yesterday, you saw the really beginning of a turn. For a long time, the Trump administration focused on getting Ukraine in line. Now they're starting to discover that actually doesn't matter what Ukraine says. Putin wants to continue the war. Putin lies every day. And we'll see what his conversation's like with Steve Witkoff when he's in Moscow. But frankly, I'm not very optimistic because I think Putin does not yet believe that we will actually get involved in helping the Ukrainians. And he believes he can talk and fight, and that we'll be dumb enough to let him do it. I thought today's statement by the president was a clear sign that that may be a major mistake by Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think when Donald Trump speaks, his words actually matter because he actually follows through and does what he says he's going to do. And so going back to Iran, this is where I think the Iranians are getting the message, at least I hope they do, because it's not against the Iranian people, but the Iranian government has to understand that the president is going to make the United States energy independent. And when they drive down the cost of oil, guess what? They don't make as much money. They don't have the revenue, nor does Russia. And so when the president talks about drill, baby, drill, that is not just to help Americans, it's to help the world's safety, but it's also to get rid of the biggest threats that the world has against, using their nuclear bombs, whether they be Russia or Iran.
Well, and as you note, the president now is going to be visiting Saudi Arabia, and I think that that's a clear indication. He and the Saudis are lockstep on this. The Saudis want to stop the Iranian nuclear program in its tracks. The Saudis see their future in alliance with the U.S. and, frankly, in recognition of Israel and working together with the Israelis. And I think you'll see an expansion of the Abraham Accords, which was one of the great achievements of Trump's first term. So in a lot of ways overseas, he is making progress. And we shouldn't underestimate, just because the news coverage is often so biased, there are things happening here at home that are amazing. If you were to look at the total number of investments that are being made here, it's astonishing. As you know, my wife Calista has been nominated to be the ambassador to Switzerland, and she's been studying in preparation for going to the Senate. And she pointed out to me yesterday there are two major Swiss pharmaceutical companies that between them have announced $90 billion in investments in new factories in the U.S. Wow. That's just 2 companies. I think there are a dozen or more auto companies that have announced it. We're seeing the leading chip maker in the world has announced a huge investment. I think probably there are $7 or $8 trillion already committed to build things in America, and I think you're going to see a lot more in the next 6 months. And that's the kind of thing that people are going to, a year from now, people are going to be talking about the Trump boom as opposed to the nervousness that we're getting out of all the speculators right now.
Yeah, they have a hard time seeing, 2 days in front of themselves. But I think you're right. By the time we turn the corner into the fall and into the winter, all of that good hard work is going to be paying off, and it will help Americans across the board. Speaker Newt Gingrich, thank you so much for joining us on Hannity tonight. Do appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.